Welcome to the Tailoring Talk Show with me, your host, Roberto Revilla. I'm a bespoke tailor, menswear designer and owner of Roberto Revilla London suit and shirt makers. This is the podcast where you drop in for the threads but often leave with something quite unexpected. I talk to self-starters and creators about their journeys, the highs and lows and the lessons they've learned along the way. If you haven't already, please support the show by subscribing, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please help me out by leaving a rating and a review. Today you are in for a treat as we actually are doing some tailoring talk. My guest started her career in fashion as a designer at Louis Vitton, going on to work for Selfridges and other luxury brands in the UK, Paris, Shanghai and Delhi. 5 years ago, she followed her dream and founded the Stylist Academy with one goal in mind: to educate people to look and feel their best, whatever their size and shape. I'm so privileged to know her and be able to call her my friend, and I can't wait for you to get to know her too. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Jeminee Solanki Parmar to the Tailoring Talk Show. Jeminee, how are you?
Oh, thank you for that warm welcome. It's so nice. I'm really good and I'm so excited. This is my first podcast.
You're going to be amazing. And just when we did our little preamble where I wasn't recording because I'm an idiot. Oh no, actually I was recording because we're recording this on Zoom. It's been a long week. Sorry. So we've just basically come up with a little scheme, haven't we?
Yes, I can't wait.
to put both of us in the ears of people even more. But thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. I think what I would like to do first of all is take you back a little bit, go through your journey to where you got to where you are today, before you and I then start to put the world to rights, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So what was it like working at places like Louis Vuitton and Selfridges? Because to me, they sound like the perfect dream places to be in if you're interested in the sorts of things that we do.
It was it was amazing. It was an incredible experience. I can't say it wasn't. But it was a little bit like Devil Wears Prada. When you're the newbie, the graduate, they kind of flung papers onto the floor and look at you because you're not worthy of being spoken to, and just point at the floor. And especially in Paris when I didn't speak very good French at all, or any French really, apart from GCSE. They really don't like it if you don't speak French.
So was it a bit like what's that Netflix show, Emily in Paris? Have you seen that?
Yes, yeah. I love that. I've watched it twice. It was so good. It was a little bit like that, although without all the romance.
And without social media.
Yeah, and without social media. Yeah, it's such a shame. It would be so cool to Instagram all the pictures and take loads of... I didn't even have a phone that took photos at that time. But yeah, no, it was an amazing experience. It was nice to be around designers and to learn about the process. I think that's an integral part of my fashion journey as well, just really learning the clogs and how it all works together. Because a lot of people just dive in and think, oh yeah, I could be a stylist. Oh, it's just about shopping. It's just like this fun thing. But they don't understand the strategic side of it. They don't understand the science behind it. There's a whole process, which you obviously understand. And there's a whole wealth of knowledge that goes behind, being a really good stylist. So yeah. That's what I could say about that. But and also living in various countries was incredible. Meeting different people, experiencing different cultures. Working for Selfridges in Hong Kong, it was fantastic. Their offices were amazing, and it's great when you're young and single and free, and that was amazing. But I think once you're settled down, you've got a partner, you've got children, it's a whole different story, and that's why I knew what I wanted about 5 years ago, and I decided that I want to be in one place, and I want to help more people on my own terms. And I think it's for anyone that's thinking of entering the fashion arena, I would strongly advise you go and work for a company that you admire, because it's really good to understand how they do what they do, and then go and do your own thing, because just going straight into it, anyone that is an entrepreneur, you may be good at what you do, but you may not have the business acumen, the marketing, and there's so much more to running a business than just your skill. There's a lot more parts to it all. So it's just amazing experience to have, to help you on your journey to set your own business up successfully.
Yeah, it's one example that we've been using quite a lot recently are builders or people in the building trade. Obviously, your husband is a builder or runs a building company, and he obviously does it very well. But there are a lot of others that don't, because they're very, very good at what they do. They're good carpenters or they're good plumbers or whatever. The skill level is very high, but then when it comes to actually running a business, the mechanics of it, and that's what most professional people, their heads explode when they're dealing with the building trade, because they don't understand what planet these people are on. But it is just because they don't have that side of the sort of training and so on. You can then apply that principle to what we do as well. I mean, I worked in a much bigger company, so I was able to use that to sort of, do all my sort of learning and education and build my clientele and so on, and learn how to deal with different types of people, etc. Then I went to a much, much smaller firm to learn the mechanics of how to run a business. I think I always had some of that anyway, because I grew up, I've been working since I was about 3 years old. My grandfather brought his business over from India. So my mum and dad didn't take me to nursery. They just took me to his place, and that's where I was all the time. And then my dad had his own business and so on and so forth. So I think, I always already had a bit of that kind of business sense, but there's nothing like actually sort of learning it on the ground in the industry that you actually want to be in, because I don't want to be in carpets and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in our blood. Like, you can hear it when we talk as well, because same with me. Like, my grandma set up her own business, stitching like blouses and making beautiful dresses. And I remember on my 3rd birthday, she made me this beautiful dress. I mean, I look back at it and think it's hideous, but at the time I thought, wow, it's amazing, because the way she described it to me was, this is the only one in the world. It was like haute couture for a 3-year-old, and she stitched it especially for me, and it was so beautiful. And I thought, wow, I felt so special. And from that moment, I knew I wanted to be a part of this whole line of looking and feeling good, and how clothes can transform you. And that's something you can't really learn or buy. But yes, the education side of it is also important. But with the internet now, it's just easy to call yourself anything, or set up a company and be anyone, or show up as, catfish yourself as any industry expert. So I think it's really important to understand who you're working with, and understand their background and their knowledge, and look at the results as well. And I'm sure, like, with your work as well, we could see the results with yours, and with my transformations, people are like, oh, wow, what's happened, with her, she looks amazing. So yeah,
I could just shoot off on so many different tangents with you. It's absolutely crazy. I'm going to try and keep some sort of structure and order. It's going to go out the window really, really quick. I recorded with Zamahar. Do you know Zamahar? Recommendation?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, of course you do. By the way, anyone who's listening, so what Jeminee was talking about earlier about getting help when you're starting in business and so on, definitely go look up Recommendation, because the support network that Sam's built up is absolutely incredible. That episode is coming out. Or actually, that episode will have been out before this one. So it's really confusing because I'm recording so much ahead and publishing ahead. So I've got episodes now sort of going out over the next 2 months. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I start confusing myself. But I mean, what she's built in terms of a support network and so on for particularly female entrepreneurs is absolutely fantastic. But, you know, to go back to some of what you said before I then shoot back to what I originally wanted to talk to you about. See, I told you I'm going to go all over the place today. You know, anyone sort of springing up calling themselves a personal stylist. The other one that really grates me at the moment is these companies that, you know, where they have a personal stylist that goes through everything with you over the phone, and they find out your likes and your dislikes and you'll build a profile for you, and then they send you clothes in a box every month, and then you basically keep what you want and you send the rest back. The kind of initial consultation, from what I've heard from people that have used those services, they're not really, well, they're not trained. They've got no expertise to be able to give that sort of advice to someone over the phone or remotely. You can't really learn that much about someone in just an initial 20-minute chat or whatever. It just doesn't work that way, because there's so many other facets that come into it. It's not just what they think they like and so on. It's also their personality. And so who am I talking to? You know all of this. But then it's just really a vehicle for them to sort of, it's almost like creating a placebo effect for the client that, oh, I'm getting this box of stuff every month, but because I had that consultation with them and they know my profile in inverted commas, this stuff must work for me. But really, it's just a vehicle just to kind of try and sell clothes, because most of these guys aren't going to send that stuff back because they're too busy. So they end up with stuff that they keep getting charged for that they never wear. And this creates a whole other problem in our industry. And then you get other people. It's like the personal training industry, right? It seems that anybody can call themselves a personal trainer these days. But when you go to the gym, you can tell a good one from a bad one.
Yeah.
And then it's the same in what you do. There are very few really great personal stylists like you. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. You know, I have to deal with a lot of them, basically.
Yeah,
my job.
and I know we're speaking the same language, and I know, you know, you're fantastic at what you do as well. And because we do agree on a lot of things, and I agree with these boxes. It is really frustrating because they're just, what happens is they're ending up stuffing their wardrobe full of clothes they don't even like, and the boxes are full of mediocre clothes that don't really represent who they are or are authentic to, you know, their personality, or, you know, it's just very generic, and it's just a big sales strategy to get. And you don't need to buy clothes every month. That is just not sustainable. Like, you know, people think as a personal shopper, I'm going to encourage you to shop loads, but actually it's about quality over quantity, and refining your wardrobe and it's all about less is more, you know, but finding the right styles, shapes, colors, you know, fabrics that look incredible on you. And you don't have to spend a fortune necessarily. Working within your budget, and you're working around your lifestyle, your personality, and creating this ultimate wardrobe to create the ultimate you that's authentic to who you are, rather than this computer generated bullshit. Sorry.
No, go for it.
It's just rubbish. I think it's ridiculous. Like, you know, and they're just students that are on the end of the line, say, going through the you know, the basic generic questions that don't mean anything. So yeah. If you just want to look mediocre, then carry on with that service.
That's the thing, you know, if you look at Stylist Academy, and if someone said, you know, why would I go to them over and above, I'm going to swear at you now, you know, Colour Me Beautiful or House of Colour and so on, you can't buy the experience that you've had. You've worked here in the UK, you've worked in Asia, you've worked in Europe, you've worked in India as well. You know, if you think about the kind of fashion culture and the attitude towards dressing in those regions of the world, correct me if I'm wrong, they're all quite different from each other as well. I can talk about it from a guy's perspective, but from a guy's perspective, I would imagine in Paris, they're all generally quite well dressed, no matter whether they're casual or smart. In the UK, 80% of guys here just seem to roll out of bed and whatever they manage to, sort of roll around on the floor of their bedroom, run out the door in, and that's fine as far as they're concerned. India, I imagine there's a certain pride level, especially when you're in the big cities like Delhi and Mumbai. And then in Shanghai, I imagine the guys out there all just wear black suits.
They're quite fashion conscious in Shanghai. But yeah, I think like a lot of the rest of the world, dress better than the people in the UK. Well,
I don't know where we got this reputation from for being so well dressed. I think maybe it's from our, the way that Brits are depicted in films. It's a hangover. As soon as people think of Brits, they think of colonial Britain or whatever, when everybody was, you'd start off the day wearing a morning dress and then you transition through the day and change in other various outfits, ending in a smoking jacket by the evening. That just doesn't happen anymore. So I get my American clients, you Brits, you're also like well dressed. I wish I could be like you. And I'm like, seriously, you really don't.
Yeah, we should take some pictures.
Yeah.
But no, going back to Zamiha's recommendation, like I really think that Zamiha's created this incredible platform. It's really helped me as well personally with my business, and being able to differentiate myself from other personal stylists. And actually, I remember someone recommending me on her platform, and then someone else commented saying that, oh, well, you can get a free personal shopper at Debenhams. And I said, yeah, go for it. You can go for a free haircut and, end up with a shaved head if you like. But it's up to you. What are you looking for? There's the people in Debenhams, or, not just necessarily Debenhams, or the personal stylists in retail shops are not always trained, and even if they are, they don't have the time to go through what we go through, the whole process that we go through, and also they are basically trained to sell what's in store, so they will make some kind of commission, or they have targets, whereas I'm not affiliated with any stores. My main top priority concern is you, and there's no like, oh, let's go here. I had a client who basically, she booked me to shop in Harrods. She was like, I always shop at Harrods, I love Harrods, that's where I want to shop. And she was like, I've got my eye on this dress, and it was £475, which I thought was a lot of money for a dress. We saw it, I looked at the fabric, it was actually a mix of viscose and acrylic, and I was like, you're going to pay that kind of money for a really badly made dress, basically. And I said, look, let's just keep this on hold and let's go across the road to Zara. And she'd never really stepped into Zara, and I found her a whole range of things for less than a couple of £100, and she just could not believe how incredible it looked. So I took her out of the shop to take her somewhere else to actually, because it's not about the shop for me, it's about finding the right items that work really, really well for you. That's not to say Harrods isn't amazing. There are some amazing things out in Harrods and Selfridges and all the stores, but it's about finding the right items that work for you and your body shape and your budget.
Yeah, it's taking a 360-degree approach to, in my case, tailoring, in your case, personal styling.
Yeah.
It's about getting to know your customer. It's about getting to know their personality. Anything that they're not confident about, that they wish they could change, how they want to project themselves to the world, how they want the world to see them, what they want their clothing to do, their budget. There's just so much you have to take into account. And then it's also relying on your instincts as well for what is going to suit them. Because again, you get people who've been to stylists and things, and, they come in to see someone like me with a color chart and they say, I've been told that these are all the colors that I can wear and I have to stick to them to the exact shade, and they start looking at fabrics and they're literally trying to match it with the, you know, with the little swatch book that they've been given.
I really feel like setting fire to those swatch books. Like,
I know.
So I had someone from House of Color, and all of these companies, like, you know, whatever they are, these affiliate companies, if you look at their training books, they're from the 1940s, like literally from the 1940s or 1950s. And you see these, oh, you're a floral, blah, blah, whatever. I can't remember what the name of the...
I think I'm a dramatic winter, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, what kind of bloody person? I like flowers sometimes, but like I was like, I'm not this frumpy woman that likes like frilly dresses. Like, hello, this is not me. And what are you actually? What kind of style advice are you really giving? And then in terms of the swatches, she was like, yeah, you know, yellow doesn't suit you. This doesn't. And I was like, oh my God, yellow is one of my favorite colors. Shut up. I am not going to get rid of all my yellow dresses, saris. I've got a mustard jacket. You know, yellow is like part of my wardrobe. So, I mean, when I studied at London College of Fashion, I learned about, you know, there is a science, you know, you learn about the undertones and the skin tones and how it works, which is fine. But the methodology that they're using is so old-fashioned and so restricted, it doesn't make sense. Half the color wheel I would never pick those colors in my life. Like, there's no way. It makes no sense. And I'm not going to walk around the shops with these swatches going, oh, well, this is not quite the right shade, so I'm not going to buy that top that I absolutely love. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's not practical. Who in their right mind is going to carry those swatches for life whenever they're in the shops? It just doesn't make any sense. And you're going to throw out your clothes that don't match that color. It's just rubbish. I
try and teach people about instinct. It's like I say to my clients, look, you know, we're looking at swatches and you might not used to be shopping that way because you've not done tailoring before, or you can't visualize things because you're not that sort of person. But what you've got to rely on is me, because when I'm looking at these swatches, what I'm looking at is you in the outfit, in your boardroom or at a wedding or wherever, and I can see you in it, surrounded by your colleagues, your friends, your wife, whatever. And you might be looking at something, say, that looks interesting, and I might say to you, no, you're going to look like a dickhead in that. You're not doing that. But there'll be other things I'll look at and I'll be like, adamant, you will look absolutely amazing, like wow factor, do it. And then, you know, similarly, if there's anything that you're looking at, and it's not just in tailoring when you're looking at fabric swatches, but when you're out in the stores and so on, and I say this to my clients' wives and girlfriends and partners and things as well, when they're around, that when you're shopping for clothes, think about your existing wardrobe and think about the things that you absolutely love, the outfits that you wish you had more of them in different colors because you love them so much. Now think about when you were in that shop and you bought that item, what was the reaction when you first saw it? I bet you said, when you looked at it, the first time you were like, oh my God, I love that dress, or I love that blouse, or I love that suit, or whatever. And they're like, yeah, totally. Okay, great. Now think about the stuff that you don't wear so often. I bet when you first saw those items in the shop, you thought, well, that's nice, but... yeah, actually, yeah, it was something like that. Exactly. Now, when have you ever really loved or cherished anything in life that you said, yeah, it's nice, but... to, right? You're married. When you saw your wife for the first time in the bar or wherever it was that you first saw her, did you think, she's nice, but... no, you didn't. You were like, wow, oh my God, like you were literally knocked off your feet. That's the attitude you should take with your clothes. And if you go out shopping for something one day and there's nothing that knocks you over, don't buy anything.
Yeah, 100%. And I love this about you, because we're talking the same language. We see everything from the same perspective. And but one thing I do say to my clients is just come when you are with me. go with an open mind, because you only know what you know. So you're kind of shopping, you're stuck in a rut in the way you're shopping. You're buying the same types of clothes because you know that works for you. And you might see something else on a hanger and be like, no, that's never going to suit me. But whereas yourself and me, like, we can visualize how amazing it would look on them, and how it would like look, create an incredible silhouette, create, an amazing look overall. So a lot of the time, my favorite compliment from my clients is when they say to me, oh my God, I would never have picked that, because, and I love it, because that's something that I've achieved, and I've got them out of their comfort zone, and I've found them something that's like, wow, for them, and created a new way of thinking for them, of how to dress themselves.
Yeah. Probably the number one question I get asked nowadays is, Bobby, when are you going to tailor for the ladies? And I'm just like, it's something that has been on my mind for a while. I have got some ladies that I do make pieces for, but I've not gone mainstream with it, for a pretty damn good reason. And it is that it's not easy at all. And also because ladies' fashion can change so much more quickly, or the trends can change rather more quickly than guys. Guys get to a certain age, what we want to do is kind of fall into our groove fashion wise and kind of just stay there until we die. We're not, we can be influenced. We can be influenced by trends and fashion, but we don't want to be dictated by it. Women, yeah. I feel a little bit more pressure to keep in tune, in rhythm with whatever trends are going on at any point in time. And because our lead time can be anything from 8 to 12 weeks on ladies stuff, because it just takes longer to create, because you've got more curves and things that guys don't have. You could get halfway through making something and then, trends change, or, suddenly we're going bell bottoms rather than straight legged or whatever. And, your client rings you up and says, look, like, I know we ordered this, but I want it changed to that now because that's what Burberry are doing this season. And all of a sudden we're like, well, if I do that, I'm going to have to scrap it and start all over again. You realise that. So it's been a very difficult area. And I think there's a reason why, women's tailoring isn't as mainstream. But now through talking to you the last few times, I'm kind of starting to I'd be interested to get your opinion as to whether women's custom tailoring is really that necessary if we're trying to solve the wrong problem. Because I kind of feel like if it was an easy thing to do, then someone would have come up with that solution already, and there'd be women's tailor shops all over the place, just like there are men's.
So I've met a female tailor, and she specializes in petite body shapes, because it's so difficult to find trousers that fit right, and also like jackets because of busts and arm lengths and things like that. So I do think there is a niche for it, but I think I would probably stick to blazers and trousers, because blazers are kind of timeless all year round and pretty much the same kind of style. The trends do, like, one of the biggest questions I get asked is like, what are the latest trends? And I feel like slapping people sometimes when they ask me that. Yes, it's my job to understand what trends are, but I'm not here as a fashion stylist. I'm here as a personal stylist to give you the timeless classic looks that will look incredible on you. And if you want to be a fashion victim and keep buying all the trends, then you can just go to the stores and buy, keep impulse buying and stuffing your wardrobe full of clothes. But I think there are some classic styles that are timeless, that you could just create a range of like timeless pieces, timeless blazers, timeless like trousers to fit your body shape, that could just work. And there's no ifs or buts with, like, if they say, once they've agreed that point, they have to stick to that for those 8 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever, because, you know, a pair of black trousers, you know, that's something that every girl needs anyway. And a blazer, a nice fitted blazer, I don't like the oversized look. I've seen a lot of people wearing it and it looks good on some people, but for me personally, it just doesn't do anything for me. I don't like it. I prefer it to fit properly according to my body type. And doing the styling, like, female bodies are very different. Like, I've when I went to London College of Fashion, we learnt about 6 body types, but I've discovered over 24 body types over the period of styling over 1,000 clients. Everyone has different, you know, body shapes, bust sizes, shoulder widths, you know, and it's all different. So it's really important to understand what your body shape is first, and then create the wardrobe around that, which people just miss out and just want to go straight to the shops, and they don't really understand why nothing really fits properly, because they're choosing the wrong things.
It's the same with guys as well. I mean, they don't seem to get why they have to make so many compromises when they go shopping, and that they can never get anything that ticks all the boxes. And, you know, it is very simple. I mean, you almost feel like slapping them, because it's like, well, isn't it obvious that Calvin Klein or Hugo Boss or whatever, all their clothes are made in a factory to a set pattern per size level, and they're trying to cater to mass market. They're not trying to make things for you. That's why you're here with me, because I measure you, and then I'm looking at your body type and so on, and I'm creating a pattern that works for you and you alone. You're never going to get that from the stores. And I mean, you know, with women, it's the same with guys as well. Sometimes you're lucky as a lady or a man if you manage to find a brand where whatever patterns they've decided on for a period of time happen to work for you 90%, 80%, 90%. So, you know, you take Carolina, for example. She's quite petite. She's 5 foot. Just making sure she can't hear me. She's 5'2", I think. She says she's 5'3", but I don't think she is. And she's quite petite, but then she has that sort of Latin butt and all the rest of it. And Karen Millen, absolutely perfect for her. She's the only store she could go into, and you probably know this, right? And you're probably lamenting the loss of Karen Millen since those boohoo bastards bought them. But she could go, I could go in for her anniversaries, birthdays, just feel like treating her to something. And I knew the girls in the store in Brent Cross, and they would just leave me to get on with what I had to do. I'd just go shop for her, and I knew I could take it home. It was all going to fit. Now, since they've moved online, they've changed everything. She's lost that as a source. So now she's really struggling. So as a result, she's not buying anything at the moment.
It's really sad. Like, Boohoo own most of the high street now. And when Karen Millen was literally out there, like one of my favorite stores, I did a whole talk on a masterclass with Karen Millen. I collaborated with them with their, you know, their clothes were beautifully made. You know, their fittings were gorgeous, and there's every single, and I found it fit me really well. I'm 5'8", but there were, you know, certain types of clothes that fit me really, really well in Karen Millen because they're so well made. Obviously, as well as you would make them, but for a high street store.
No, but for a high street store, they were still great. Like, I remember one of the outfits that I bought for her was it must have been about 6 or 7 years ago. She still got it and wears it to this day. But Karen Millen had, she did just a limited collection of designs that were based on that whole kind of Mary Quant sort of look.
Yeah.
Right. So I bought her a couple sweaters and then an actual sort of jacket dress sort of thing. And it's orange with the kind of shapes in sort of, you know, blue and white and so on. And, you know, we happened to be in the Gucci store in Madrid once because she was getting me a present because I really wanted this sort of carry-on luggage bag, and I just fancied a Gucci one because why not? And she had the Chinese tourists that were in there coming up to her, asking her for help because they thought she worked at Gucci.
Wow.
Now, never mind the fact it was a Mary Quant sort of design, which you'd never see in a Gucci store on any employee. But the fact is that it was just so timeless. Like, she looked like she stepped out of a time capsule, and she'd just come from a party hanging out with Twiggy and supermodels of that day in the 60s. And she could wear that today. She could wear that in 5 years' time or 20 years' time. And it's just timeless, which was the other reason why I bought that for her. But now you look online at their stuff, and it's just gone so, it's just really sad to see.
I don't even use that website anymore. I've just deleted it, because even Karen Millen herself was like, I just can't even associate with the new, what it is now.
Yeah, it must kill her because her name's still on it.
Yeah. But Boohoo now own Topshop, Warehouse, Oasis, Debenhams, literally almost like 60% of the high street. And now I work a lot with Westfield, and nearly all this, like, there's so many spaces now because the stores have shut down, or the stores that are there, the quality is just not there. So yeah, it's difficult and there's just so much. I think a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed with the amount of choice as well, because there's less shops that are great, but there's just so much choice out there as well. Like, you just don't know, like with jeans, it's like a minefield. Even I was like, wow, there's like 35 different styles of jeans. Like, what are we gonna, where would a normal person start? Like, lucky I know what I'm talking about. But just because, also, like, one of the biggest pieces of advice I'll give any of the listeners out there is, just because something's on trend, don't buy it. And I know you agree, you're nodding as well. And I just think, like you said, if you don't love it, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's just wasting your money. I refused to buy these baggy mum jeans and stuff because it just made me look like I had a saggy bum, and it just looked awful. I was like, I don't want to look like this person. I want to look like me.
Yeah.
So
unless you're those 1 in a billion people like a Cara Delevingne or someone who, they just have so much what's the word, kind of wow factor, star power, charisma, X factor, whatever you want to call it, up here in the head area, that it doesn't really matter what they wear below the neck. They're going to look amazing anyway. For me, it's really important for people to look like they're wearing their clothes than the other way around.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Talk to clients about this all the time. I say to them, you walked into the workroom the first time and I looked at you, it looked like you were being overtaken by everything that you were wearing. Whereas now, you look like you're wearing your clothes, and that's exactly what we want to be doing. This always should be the goal. And then that's where having someone on hand like yourself that can sort of talk through and advise on body shape and so on, and then also you've got resources presumably with alterations tailors, etc., who can then kind of just do the final nips and tucks if certain clients need it because their body shape really isn't getting them even 60% close to what the off the peg makers are doing. It can be really, really beneficial for someone.
Yes, of course. And I mean, we do work with some tailors, but because I work with people all over London, it's always not always local to them. But yeah, the body shape is like the foundation, and then also the right underwear. I have a lot of clients that are just not wearing the right underwear. I mean, obviously the man, I don't know. I don't. Really
trust me, it's a situation for men as well.
Yeah, well, with women, about 67% of women don't wear the right bra, which just, you're going to buy an incredible dress for a milestone birthday. You need to measure yourself up. That's one of the first pieces of advice I say. I mean, I could do that for them, but it's just, you're paying me to do that. Why don't you just get that done and get the right bra? Then we can focus on the outfit, but get that foundation right so we can create that amazing silhouette, because the last thing you want is an incredible dress and saggy boobs underneath, and not the right knickers, and you just want that everything to look amazing and seamless. So.
I found that all kind of confusing and fascinating when I first got together with my then girlfriend, now wife, because being Spanish, she's obviously a lot more kind of highly aware of all these different sort of things and so on. But she has. I don't know why I'm looking towards our bedroom, but I'm just trying to visualize what's in those drawers. But she's got like these boxes of things that, like these kind of silicone-y sort of type things that aren't a bra. They're like cups devoid of straps and stuff. Don't laugh at me. And I'm actually cupping my hands. What's wrong with me? And she'll just put those on so that when she puts a dress on, it's held everything up. But then you haven't got any straps and stuff kind of showing from the bra, so you're not interfering with the look of the dress. Like the impact of the dress is not detracted from. I won't get started on the knicker area and stuff, but there's all sorts of stuff going on there that, again, she'll have certain things that she'll only put with certain dresses and so on, so that whenever she's dressed up, she just looks absolutely... I'm just looking at a picture of her in a stunning red dress that she's got, which I think was it was Rosa Clara in Madrid designed and made it. Absolutely amazing. But yeah, she always looks completely appropriate because she's just got this whole host of stuff that, is designed to go with different things. I mean, for guys, it is admittedly easier because we just have to work out whether we're wearing Y fronts, boxers, or longer shorts. But
yeah, and I think it's amazing that she has that awareness, but there's so many women that don't, and they're just kind of there with their same kind of knickers or bras, whatever.
Do you think is that a cultural thing though?
Yeah,
because you see,
100%.
she grew up in Spain, and I think the Spanish, the Italians, the French, they're very uninhibited about their. They're very uninhibited about their bodies, about, showing stuff off in front of other people and all of that sort of thing. Whereas over here, we're a lot more sort of prudish, and especially, I don't know what percentage of Asian clients you have, but I certainly find that my Asian guy clients, when clients come into the workroom and I've got a private fitting room that they can use and shut the door and so on. Generally speaking, the British guys, the white British guys, especially the ex-rugby player types, I'm like opening the door for them saying, I'm going to give you the room. And they've already ripped their clothes off. Like, they don't care because it's that dressing room mentality. And my Asian clients will, like, even before they get measured, they're looking around for where's the private place to kind of get dressed, and so, because I don't want to get undressed in front of anyone. And I don't know if it's that same cultural thing with women as well over here, that, they aren't maybe, quite as open and then haven't been sort of educated with all those things. I was talking to Zam about, she's having certain conversations with her daughter at the moment and so on. And, it's not really she's really cool, obviously. She's a totally cool mum. She'd probably listen to this and be bursting out laughing, thinking, what an idiot. But I think she's cool. But, I remember my mum and dad didn't even teach me how to shave. I had to find out for myself. I came down one day at like the age of 7 with my face looking like Freddy Krueger had been at it. And literally I was bleeding all over. And they were like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, I just wanted to be like Dad. And then, they just beat me up and shut me in my room.
Oh, bless. Oh, no.
Sorry, so my point was, is there a cultural thing there that's...
So I definitely think the British are, having lived in lots of different countries, the British are more prude. But my clients, I think they feel a sense of comfort with me. I kind of get into the changing rooms with them, help them zip up, or say to them, look, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to do a gok kwan and like grab your boobs or anything, but they should be like 2 inches higher. So let's go, get the right bra for you. But yeah, my clients, I would say about 70% are Asian, because they just happen to be Asian, and they're not prudish. Like even the male clients, some great looking personal trainers that have like kept their doors open. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I enjoyed that thoroughly, so that's why my husband knows as well, because I described it in minute detail to him.
Yeah, I've got. Sadly, I'd say most of my clients aren't in great shape, and then I get a few that are in like really, really good shape. And even me, as a straight, hot-blooded, heterosexual guy, I'll sort of look at them and I'm just like, okay, yeah, you earned that, mate. Really. They're also, funny enough, the most difficult to fit. The ones
Really?
the ones that are anatomically correct.
Yeah. So my husband's built like a rugby player, and he's got like thicker thighs and
massive thighs. Yeah.
Yeah, and so those kind of skinny trousers, like just he can't even. He's just like he feels like swearing at them. He's like, no, I can't even think about putting those on. So there's certain stores that work for him, certain types of jeans that work for him, and yeah. He needs like broader things. So like slim fit is just, places like Next or River Island that do like slim fit, it just doesn't work. Or Zara, no way, can't do that.
Ex-rugby players, I mean, I can fit anyone, but ex-rugby player type builds are like my happy place, because I know exactly what problems they get. Their thighs are too big, so when they buy trousers and jeans off the peg, they have to size up a waist size so that they can get their legs in. They get their legs in, and then they end up with a saggy bottom and a massive waist. So their trousers keep falling down all the time around their bums.
Have to wear a belt, yeah.
Jackets, they have to size up, so they go to fit their shoulders in, but then they end up with loads of extra fabric floating around the middle. Shirts, they have to go up to the whatever collar size they can actually get their necks into, and then they end up literally wearing a parachute. Like if there's a gust of wind, they would just blow off. Ex-rugby players are my happy place.
Yeah, I'll send him to you because he needs some new suits. So yeah, that fit him.
I'll sort his jeans problem out. Don't worry. He'll love me after I've got my hands on his thighs. No, I'll cut that out. Don't tell him that. Like, who's this weirdo you're sending me to? So outside of personal styling, you do a lot of public speaking as well, and you do events, and you end up talking to people. Is that mainly kind of corporate type stuff, or a mix?
So it's a mix. I did a talk at Olympia for Pure London, which is Europe's biggest fashion event. So they picked me as a style expert to talk about body shapes. That was amazing. It was really scary as well. So many people there. My goal is now to do a TEDx talk that would be like incredible. So I'd like to put that out there, manifest that and make that happen.
I'm not sure anyone from TEDx is listening to this podcast at the moment, but who knows? Might get there. And
what else? I've spoken at Ernst & Young and did a talk there, just talking about how the way you dress can help increase sales, and how it improves performance as well. I've done all sorts of different talks and masterclasses as well, like I mentioned with Karen Millen. I did one with Hugo Boss, so sorry, but I will happily do one with Roberto. So I've done lots of different things, but I do like to just spread good vibes and educate people on looking their best.
I think I need to work on that side of things. I was given the moniker the rock and roll tailor. Crikey, it must be nearly 10 years ago when I won that shortlist Britlist thing. But one of the reasons why, apart from the fact that I was charging around London on a motorbike, is because of how straightforward I am. So I have been asked to do some speaking engagements and consider giving masterclasses and things, but I just feel like I would just upset everybody in the audience because I can't be. I'm not saying that you BS, but I can't on the guy side of things. I just can't be bothered with all the fluffing people up and so on. I'll get larger clients that'll sort of say to me, I've been looking at this and I've pinned all these pictures and so on, and I just say to him, look, dude, I'm a magician, but I'm not a sorcerer. I can't I can't make you look like Brad Pitt, because at the end of the day, you need to go on a severe diet to be able to even get anything close to that. So yeah, I think I need to just sort of start working on my public speaking a bit more, because I am getting more inquiries, and I feel like I need to stop saying no at some point and actually start doing some of them. Isn't that are you still quite nervous to this day, or are you just like, hey, yeah, no problem, and then you just get up in front of people and off you go?
So the first one I did, I remember my husband kind of booked it for me, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And it was Britain's Next Top Model, and it was huge.
My God.
It was a huge audience. I was really like, I was physically sick before I went onto the stage, and I was a fumbling mess on the stage. I was just so sweaty and like just didn't know what I was saying or doing. But it was for 3 days consecutively, and day 2 I was better. Day 3 it was a breeze, and I think it's just like practice makes perfect, and the more you do it, you kind of don't even think about it. I still get nervous to this day, even networking. Sometimes you have to stand up and talk about yourself. I will get nervous, but I think because you've practiced so much, you kind of it sounds like you're really confident.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just keep going. But yeah, it's good.
For me, I think I've realised now. So last Saturday, one of my clients, Richard Gore, who was on this podcast a few episodes ago, he came over from Wales, not Cardiff, Newport, on the Saturday, because he wanted to do some bits in London, and he wanted to see Carolina and I. So we went and had lunch with him. It was so funny because we were like kids, because he was messaging me saying, what are you going to wear on Saturday? And I was like, I don't know, what are you going to wear? And he's like, obviously I'm going to wear one of your suits. And Saturday was really, really hot. I mean, it was probably about 28, 30 degrees. And he was wearing a tan linen suit, blue shirt, tie. Looked really good, obviously, because I'd made everything. And I wore my, what I call my Goldfinger suit, which is my pearl grey. I didn't wear the waistcoat, actually, but two-piece with braces. And I just thought, you know what? We're just going to dress like Bond and just wander about and just be two gentlemen around town. I actually didn't feel like the least bit pantomime with it. I mean, everybody in London that day was wearing shorts and t-shirts and very, very casual. We were the only two people walking around in a suit. But we looked good. We felt really good. We felt super comfortable. I actually felt more comfortable in that than I did in jeans and a t-shirt. And I just kind of realised that, I don't know, I just felt more like myself. It's like right now I'm sitting here. This is probably the first time actually I've realised you've not seen me in a suit. This is my podcasting outfit.
That's fine.
But also because I've been running around with the dogs today. But that kind of just felt more like me. So I have no idea why I'm telling you this. Why am I telling you this? Confidence.
Confidence. Confidence. Yeah. So yeah, it's all about confidence, and it's like being the authentic you, and that's authentic to you. So like, why not? And rocking up in a suit, I think is so nice, because I feel like women make generally, right, you probably want to slap me after this statement, but you can't, haha, because we're on Zoom.
Yeah, well, you haven't said what you're gonna. You haven't said what you're gonna say yet, so you don't know. I might surprise you.
Yeah, so I feel like women make more effort generally than men.
I say that all the time.
Yeah, and good. So I just feel a bit like, even watching trash like Love Island. I was watching Love Island and I was thinking, the girls look, when they go on a date, they look incredible, like, not always, like I don't agree with all of the dresses, but they make a huge effort. Whereas the guys are like, oh yeah, they look like they've just woken up. Yeah. And I think, oh my God, like, this is not fair. Can you make, my husband is in construction, as you mentioned, and he comes home covered in head to toe in dust sometimes, and whatever, but we've got a date night tonight. So I was like, I'm laying out your outfit, you're getting showered and dressed up and look, I dress him so he looks good, and I'll make an effort myself as well. And I think, we should all make an effort, not for other people, but for ourselves. Even on the school run, sometimes the mums are like, oh, where are you going? You're like really dressed up today. And I'm like, I'm just going home to do some videos for my work, but I'm dressing up for myself because it makes me feel good. It's not, I remember my ex was saying to me, oh, you're trying to impress people and you're trying to get attention. And I was like, no, I'm not.
Wow, that's sorry, I don't know your ex, but what an insecure git.
Yeah, well, that's why he's an ex.
Yeah.
But it's a very Asian thing, I think. A lot of men, even a lot of my clients will say to me that, I can't dress up too much because it will look kind of, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? What do you mean? Go all out and look your bloody best. Like, every day is a fashion show and this is your runway. Like, do it.
Yeah.
God's sake.
Absolutely. The number of, it's like I get some clients will begrudgingly come to me because their wife has said, go and see Bobby and sort yourself out. And it's like, oh, she said I need to get like smart casual jackets and things for going out from you. But they look confused as they're saying it to me. And I'm like, so when you're both going out, she obviously makes a lot of effort to get her hair done and, to pick out whatever dress she's wearing and her jewellery and so on. And so I'm guessing what happens is you're already waiting at the front door because you've just picked up whatever was on the floor and put it on and thought that was acceptable. And then she gets to the top of the stairs and takes one look at you and says, you're not going out dressed like that, are you? And most of them will say, yeah, that's exactly what happened. That was the trigger for you and I needing to meet. And I'm like, but why do you do it?
Get to that point? Yeah. I
think it's laziness more than anything, because it doesn't really.
Like you said, the British culture before, it used to be like to the rest of the world. They think top hats and tails and that was the British kind of culture. But then there was a point of, I don't know, like grunge and rock and hip hop and whatever's happened. And now it's just like, let's just look like we've made no effort whatsoever. And I just think it's a bit sad. I do think it's a bit sad. So
I can definitely see that there's a level of appreciation from the ladies, because last Saturday, before my wife turned up and joined us for lunch, we were getting a lot of attention. Like we were sat outside a restaurant waiting for her, having a glass of wine in the sunshine, both sort of dressed to the nines and so on. And I said, let's just record our conversation because it could make a good podcast episode. And then I was sitting with my back to the restaurant window, so Rich was facing it, and so he could see sort of people walking past without having to actually look at them, and could see their reactions as they just turned around and stared at us. And I could see at a restaurant opposite us on the other side of the road, there was a guy with his back to us, and then his wife, I think it was his wife because there was a ring on the finger, she could see us and she practically couldn't take her eyes off us. And then when they left, she nodded, and it was like a nod of appreciation. And then she sort of looked back at her husband or whatever he was with a look of sort of disappointment. So
yeah, but I love it. I would be, I must look like I'm a bit of a lesbian, because I look at lots of women that are dressed so well, and I'm like, wow, I'm drooling. Like I'll be staring at them like, wow, you look amazing.
Yeah.
And I lots of times I've gone up to the person because I think also, unfortunately, in the British culture, we don't compliment ever. Like it's just such a annoying thing, and I think why not give out compliments? It's free. It's so nice, and it could make someone's day. And every single time the people like light up. I'm like, oh my God, really? You know what? My boyfriend or husband or whoever didn't, or my friends didn't even say anything. And I'm so glad I'm like, wow, your outfit is amazing. And I'm a stylist. I don't give out compliments easily.
Yeah.
And I only give them out when, wow, like you look great. You look amazing.
So me too. If I see a guy that is dressed really well, I'll tell them. And likewise, if I see a lady that looks amazing, I think, why not tell them? Because they made an effort, and who doesn't like to receive a compliment? You don't want to go to that all that effort and get to the end of the day and say no one noticed. So it's like on Saturday. So I rode into town on the Vespa and pulled up outside the restaurant. I was waiting for Richard, and this lady she was kind of discreetly trying to photograph me from a shop doorway, and I saw her, and then she stepped forward and she said, "You look amazing. Is it okay if I photograph you?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course you can." So she took some photos of me in the Vespa, and then she asked if I could take some photos of her on my Vespa, which I did. And then afterwards, she just gave me a massive hug. She was just in town for the day to meet some family. But she gave me a massive hug after, and she said, "Oh, you've just made my day." And she said, "You look so incredible." And I'm so I was like, well, that was really cool. Like, I mean, if I'm going to get that kind of reaction every time I dress like this, I'm just going to dress like this every single day. Like, who wouldn't want that?
I think one of the things I loved about working in fashion was dressing up every day. Like, everyone made an effort. The rest of the street, like, didn't really make an effort. Like, when I'd be on the train, nobody makes eye contact. Miserable kind of thing when you're in London. Whereas it's so different in China and India. People talk or will compliment you just straight away. And it was just nice to kind of watch what everyone was wearing, and like the fact that I think making an effort for yourself is kind of like one of the things my dad says is how you do something is how you do everything. And if you're not making an effort with yourself to look good for yourself and for your clients or for your day or ahead, then how can you be seen to be making effort with other people? I've seen public speakers go up on stage with unironed t-shirts or, just rips in their shirts or whatever. And I'm like, there's just these little things that can make so much difference in your presence, because 60% or 68% of communication is non-verbal, which means that quite a lot of that percentage is down to the way you look, whether we like it or not. The way you look is making an impact on people, and people do judge you for the way you look. So, if people don't like it, then it's just the truth, basically. And make the most of what you've got. Don't wait for that one day when you've lost 10 pounds or whatever. Just do it now. Start living now, living your best life now. And look your best straight away.
That's really such great advice. And, you're basically just paraphrasing what I talk to people about every single day, especially in the world that we're in now, where the world of work has gone a lot more casual. And I say to people, you don't have to wear a suit. It's not about wearing a suit. If your dress code is smart casual or business casual, fine. But at least look like you thought about what you put on before you walked out the door. Because that first impression, when you're meeting people for the first time, or, at work, you might start going, a lot of people might start going through redundancy and restructuring programs when we get into the autumn. And all the things that are going on with the economy start to hit. I hope they don't, but, it's a real possibility. And what I've seen through every recession in my near 20 years in this business is that my clients don't get made redundant.
It makes a difference. It makes such a difference. And my clients have had transformations to the point where they've had promotions. They've been unnoticed at work. Like, the lady was just felt invisible. She literally wrote in her questionnaire, she felt invisible. And then after, we went through the process, people started complimenting her when she was going for a coffee. People that she wanted to talk to just approached her. And you're like a magnet for attracting that kind of vibration. And then the manager started conversations with her, noticed who she was, and then said, oh, actually, you've been here for a few years. Let's get you to the next level. And she got a promotion. And, I'm not saying it's only purely down to the styling, but it was that, massive step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And there was a girl who had been with her boyfriend for a few years, waiting for him to propose, nothing had happened. And I think about a month after the styling session, he proposed to her. And he may have planned it before, but he was like, wow, I don't recognize you look amazing. Like, he just couldn't believe how incredible she looked. And she felt like, a lot of people can't recognize themselves in the mirror. They're like, wow, I did not know that I could look like this. So yeah, it is life-changing. We are transforming lives in our own way. We may not be brain surgeons, but we're doing something that makes people feel incredible.
To Jeminee's client whose boyfriend didn't propose for years and years until you had a transformation, and then he thought you looked attractive, I just want to say, what a shallow bastard.
Well, it may not be. I said, like, he may have planned it once in advance, but he did. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, you looked ordinary before, but oh my god, since you saw Jeminee, you look so hot. Right? Will you marry me now?
Yeah.
But the important. Sorry, I feel like Paul Chowdhury was here. That would have been worse. But the point is that, like, you don't take credit for the promotions or life-changing events that happen to your clients, but the thing is there needs to be a catalyst, and their decision to choose you to take care of them is the catalyst for that change, for that event to happen. So you're fundamental, like the root. You're basically the roots of these people's trees. Because once you get the fundamentals of dressing right, then literally the world can be your oyster.
Yeah. That's 100% like what we believe, what you believe. I know that it is life changing. It definitely is life changing. And our parents, grandparents saw it. They saw the power of clothes, the transformational power of the right clothes. And yeah, I'm just happy to be doing that still and passing that on to other people.
Yeah, no, and I'm happy that you're in the industry doing it. I'm so happy to know you, and I'm so happy that we're going to be working on some things together as well. I'm so happy that you took time to come on to the podcast today. But this isn't going to be your last time, because we are definitely doing this again.
Yes.
And we'll start about launching your podcast soon, because I really feel there's a lot of people that would subscribe to that in a heartbeat. I'm conscious that you've got date night starting soon. Dare I ask where you're going, or is it a surprise?
I have no idea, but I don't think it's just the kids are with my mum, so it's just like, yeah, we can have a night off and do whatever we want to do, go out somewhere.
Okay. Well, I might be in Regency Club. I might be in Purple Flame later, so you just avoid those two. Jeminee, thank you so much. Where can people find you online?
So my Insta is Stylist Academy London, and my private Facebook group is Style Empowered for Women Only. So where you can empower yourself through style, where I share style tips, and I'd love to have you there. Thank you so much. Have you had fun today? Yes, thank you so much, Bobby, for introducing me to my first podcast. It's been amazing. It's been a pleasure. Oh, you're welcome. Get used to it. It's going to be the first of many. Not just with me. There are going to be lots of people wanting you on their podcast. Trust me. Thank you all so much for joining Jeminee and I on this episode. Don't forget that Tailoring Talk is now on Instagram at Tailoring Talk Podcast. And I love feedback, so you can also email the show directly
at tailoringtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Please remember to subscribe, rate and review. You can also click the share button in your player to send the show on to people you know. If you're enjoying Tailoring Talk and feel compelled to throw some change our way and support the show, you can now buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Roberto Revilla. Have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one.